And oh, wait a minute. Isn't know your farmer, know your food? Isn't that for hobby farmers? Wait, who said that? 4 senators said that. Saxby Chambliss, John McCain. I'll let him remain nameless. Anyway, it's funny. I was watching Hallie's presentation last night, and who's the other gentleman from the urban farm? I forget his name. Tezo. Okay, Tezo's presentation. You know, the good quality civil disobedience, the digging your hands into the dirt, the 16 hours a day on a tractor, 6 and 7 days a week, working other jobs for off-farm income. Where do these guys come from, for Christ's sake? You call that a hobby? I don't know a hobby where you spend 16 hours a day doing anything, unless it's like a video game for, you know, some of today's kids. These guys, what are they smoking, for Christ's sake? You know, it's just, it drives me nuts. Anyway, okay, I'm getting off. I promised I would shorten this. It's all about this. A really good tomato is not a privilege. It should be a right for everybody, you know. That's the bottom line. So we really try to do that with all of our programs. And to get that really great tomato, you need the American farmer. You can't have it without him. And these farmers have many faces. You know, I look now at the diversity of crops that are being grown in the United States and the unbelievable resilience and just creativity of farmers to be able to meet any food need. We need the farmers. You know, so we really focus on trying to serve them because they're the ones who can turn a place like this, a food desert, into an oasis. Now, there are many indigenous friends of mine who actually have a problem with the term food desert, you know, because they live in areas where they really, and it's absolutely true, they live in the desert and the desert is full of life. But I mean, this is a pretty good picture to get across the notion of what it really means. I have a little bit of an issue with USDA because they determine a food desert on whether there's a grocery store there or not. There have been some groups that have been working and doing studies saying areas are food deserts that have a really vibrant farmers market community because a farmers market isn't a food desert. It's a little bizarre, but I love the concept because this does exist in over 20,000 communities in the United States. And that's a place with lack of affordable access to fruits, vegetables, whole grains, and other foods that make up the full range of a healthy diet. And by that definition, most of the state of Iowa is actually a food desert. You know, it's funny, you grow through there, you drive through in the summertime, it's like, wow, look at all that food, but it leaves the state and comes back in the form of animal food. So I guess it's not an animal food desert. It's just maybe like a human food desert. Anyway, not a lot of great stuff. Iowa City, there's some really great farmers markets there. There are good things going on, but largely, it's hard to find really good food in Iowa. So if we did the pop quiz thing and we asked the question, why are there no grocery stores in these food deserts, or for that fact, any decent tomatoes, you know, there are a bunch of assumptions that we have. Poor people, black people, Hispanic people, Asian people in underserved communities, this is a popular assumption. They're lazy, right? They just kind of sit around watching TV, waiting for the welfare checks to roll in so they can go to the store and milk the system and get their stuff, right? They don't care. They wouldn't know a head of broccoli if somebody threw it at them. They wouldn't want it. They're hooked on, you know, other things, right? They leverage getting sick. How many of us have heard this from uninformed people? Well, yeah, you know, I hurt my, you know, I can't work now because I have diabetes, so I'll get disability, and then I can sit on my couch and eat junky food, right? Leverage getting sick. I get all this money coming in, I don't have to do anything because I'm sick, and are hooked on junk food and value meals. This is the one that pisses me off the most. In most of the communities that we work in, a Happy Meal happens once or twice a month for these families, and it's a desperate attempt of the parent to try to make their kids feel normal. They're not pounding quarter pounders every day. They're eating minute rice with a can of mushroom soup stirred into it, and then before the child goes to bed, they get a bag of Cheetos to keep them from being hungry so that they can go to sleep. That's what people are eating in these communities. The real truth is, and guess, I think I have a little question mark thing here. What's the real reason why food deserts are so prevalent? Anybody? Right? It's because people simply can't afford to choose anything other than the processed foods. If you look at the gas stations the liquor stores. I mean, we work in neighborhoods where in 60 square blocks, the only place you can buy food is at a liquor store, right? When you go into the liquor store, it's just a mini version of the center aisle of the grocery store. There's no produce. And here's the great, they sell Hamburger Helper, but when you go to the refrigerated case, it's all like Monster beverages and Red Bull. There's no hamburger, you know? So the hamburger gets a can of condensed soup or a can of condensed milk so that you have a pasta meal for 6. Really interesting stuff, you know? So when we really look at what the dollar can get you, it's an important question. It can buy 1,200 calories of potato chips, 875 calories of soda, 700 calories of instant noodles, only 250 calories of vegetables, only 170 calories of fresh fruit. You know, so when you look at the dynamics of a family after they run out of their food stamps in the middle of the month, and a family of 4 has $2 to spend on dinner, you make it to a grocery store after 3 bus transfers, and you find out that a head of broccoli is about $2. 4-pack of cup of noodles is $1.49. What are you putting in front of your family for dinner? So there's some weak links in our food chain. A lot of us know about this. Fruits and vegetables get 0.1% of any government subsidies, while almost $19 billion, depending on prices, can go to 5 crops, one of which you can't eat. Anybody ever try to eat cotton? It doesn't taste too good. I think I tried it once when I was really drunk, and it was not delicious. You know, it just, anyway, here's the answer right here. How many of you have been in the farmer's market for a damn long time, right? Did you ever think you would see so many red dots on a map of the United States representing the 7,000 farmers markets that we're at today? Did anybody ever think that would happen? That this hobby movement would become so much like video games that we would just run to creating farmers markets because it's just a fun thing to do, right? Look at that. Look at that. And this is where we think the key is. I want to remind everybody, I also hosted 2 years of a PBS show called Victory Garden. And we did some studying just this last year when we wrote a piece for the Maine Policy Review. In 1949, 48% of all the fresh food consumed in the United States came from privately held victory gardens. Right? USDA doesn't keep those statistics anymore, but they used to. 48% in 1949. In 1949, we were at exactly half the population we are now. So if those gardens were in production today, a quarter of our fresh food would be coming there. Boutique movement, not scalable, a fantasy. It was Eleanor Roosevelt, product of World War II. You damn straight, right? She said, listen, our farmers, our larger scale farmers need to feed our brave soldiers, our marching army. We need you to grow your own food. We need you to plant these victory gardens, pick yourself up by the straps, feed your family yourself, and you can help us achieve victory. That's why it was called the Victory Garden. Thank you for that. That's awesome. I'll have to send you a tape of one of our last shows. Anyway, I'm getting off track. So what we've been doing in these markets is doing incentives. Here's the deal. When you look at SNAP benefits, how many people know what they are? Nobody from USDA can answer this question. Okay. All right. This year alone, $84 billion is coming into the United States economy that can only be spent on food. And right now it's so thinly spent, it can only be spent on the stuff I was mentioning before. So what we did was we kicked the incentive program off. These were the early days. And these are just percentage redemption rate increases in four areas that had previously accepted SNAP benefits. So those of you who are in markets right now that are on the fence as to whether it's worth having an EBT machine or not at the market, these next few slides are for you. Average redemption rate increases of over 500%, right? So here are just some of the statistics. 92% of the consumers reporting that doubling was important for them to even think about going to the market to spend their benefits. And here are the results. We asked a bunch, actually, I'm going to go back for a second, because this will surprise you the way it surprised me. We do data survey. The data survey is important. We've been sharing it in Washington. And while there were a lot of things about the secret farm bill that we didn't like, what we did love is that there were $100 million in there for fruit and vegetable incentives. and an additional $100 million for specialty crops. So that's something that was there, and it was a result of being able to share with Washington the fact that underserved community members want your food. They want to feed their families better. All those assumptions I talked to about in the earlier slide, we felt that if we could provide these incentives, we would either find out that those were true or not. But talking about them and calling people lazy and calling people stupid isn't a good idea if it isn't true. I mean, if it's true, it's true. But if it's not, let's figure it out. Here's what, in 2011, 2010, it was 1,700 farmers and 550 federal benefits consumer. 2011, 2,225 farmers, 1,227 federal benefits consumers. So this is not a random study, okay? This is very, very focused. Number one reason, and we had 15 reasons each year. What's the most important, somewhat important, important or not important at all reason for coming to the market? Quality of produce in 2010 was the number one reason for somebody on food stamps or WIC benefits to come to a farmer's market. We always thought number one would be that the market accepted the benefit. Number two, that the market accepted the benefit. But look at that, 87% quality of produce in 2010, 93 in 2011. The order did not change from year to year. Accepts food stamps 86 to 88. Supporting local farmers was the third most important reason for people using food stamps, WIC benefits, and SSI to go to the market.